Senator Marco Rubio joins us right now. We just saw that poll. You are rising. Led to a Washington Post headline this morning. It says Rubio rising, also becoming a target. And it quotes a GOP strategist saying that the next 100 days are going to be brutal for you. Ready for it?
Well, the last 100 days haven't been easy, so I don't know what he's comparing it to. I'm running for president. It's a big office. It's an important position, the most important political office on the planet. And we knew it would be difficult. But we're going to continue on our message. We'll certainly answer questions and address, falsehoods or anything people say. But I'm going to remain focused on the future of America, which is what this election needs to be about, because this nation is at a generational point where it needs to choose what kind of country it's going to be in the 21st century.
It seems like every candidate meeting you yesterday, including Donald Trump, right here on your personal finances. Take a look.
I mean, he is a disaster with his credit cards. He certainly lives above his means. There's no question about that.
Well, I'm sorry.
You get a kick out of Donald Trump, but he was raising an important issue. This came up at the debate last week. You had to draw down on your retirement account to pay living expenses. Does that show?
No, I didn't. That's not accurate. So the bottom line is I obviously don't come from a wealthy family. I had student loans I had to pay off. I only have one debt in the world, which is my mortgage on the home that me and my family live in Miami. And as I said, we're running for president, and I wanted to make sure we had cash on hand for all kinds of things that come up. For example,
so that is living expenses.
Well, obviously it's not day-to-day living expenses. It's things like, for example, if your refrigerator breaks, or we live in South Florida, if our air conditioning unit goes down, we have a 10-year-old house now. So I'm out in New Hampshire and I get a phone call, your air conditioning's broken. That's a crisis in South Florida. So we wanted to make sure we had access to that. I send my kids to private Christian schools. That's a significant amount of money every year. I see it as an investment in their future. So that's what that was. But ultimately, I have one debt in the world. I have two debts in the world, actually. The mortgage on my home and the fact that America, I owe so much to this country because of everything it's made possible for me and my family. So.
Jeb Bush also in his campaign putting out the idea that you're a risky bet. And they're raising questions about that has come up in your past campaigns about using the Republican Party credit card down in Florida for personal use. And the Tampa Bay Times has a question about that this morning, saying that at least 2 years of those records are still secret. What should voters know about all this?
Well, first of all, every expense on that card is detailed in the Republican Party accounts that they file every month with their reports that they have to file with the state. It doesn't say who they belong to, but every expense is on there. And as we said, we'll release those soon.
Those 2 years?
Yeah, absolutely. But people need to understand what they're talking about here. It wasn't a credit card. It was an American Express charge card secured under my personal credit in conjunction with the party. I would go through the bills would be mailed to me at home. Every month I would go through it. If there was a personal expense, I paid it. If it was the party paid it. Now, I recognized in hindsight I would do it different to avoid all this confusion. But the Republican Party never paid a single expense of mine, personal expense. So this is unfortunately, when this was initially reported in the press, it was, made into something bigger than it truly is. I wouldn't do it the same way again to avoid all these stories. But the Republican Party never paid any of my personal expense.
So bottom line, when Bush's team says you're a risky bet because of this, they're wrong?
I think they're running a campaign that has somehow concluded. No, Jeb, someone has told them you got to attack Marco in order to win. I don't agree. It's not going to change my campaign. Now, I'm going to continue to run a positive message for America's future. If there are policy differences between them, we should discuss them. And not just with Jeb, but anybody on the field. But I'm not going to attack other Republicans. We're doing Hillary Clinton's work for her.
You want to be on the stage with Hillary Clinton. She actually called you out yesterday as well on the issue of immigration reform, saying that you used to be for comprehensive immigration reform, then basically caved.
Yeah, because it can't pass.
Republican Party.
We're not going to pass comprehensive immigration reform in this country. We're not going to pass it after a migratory crisis on the southern border where minors were being sent here unaccompanied after 2 unconstitutional executive orders. I'm being honest. They're the ones that are not being truthful. The only way forward is through a series of steps that begins with border security. And it's funny that Democrats attack Republicans for not doing what they didn't do. When they had a majority in the House, a supermajority in the Senate, Barack Obama in the White House, they did nothing on immigration. And now they attack Republicans for not doing what they themselves didn't do when they had the power, because this issue cannot be tackled in one massive piece of legislation.
Finally, to get on the stage with her, you might have to get past Senator Ted Cruz. He's also rising after the last debate. Both of you young, 44 years old, both of Cuban descent, both first-term senators, both had support of the Tea Party. What sets you apart from Ted Cruz?
Well, we're going to have a debate, and we'll let people decide that. I like Ted. Ted is a friend of mine. I think it's interesting that the 4 top candidates in that field, 3 of them of the 4 come from minority backgrounds, which speaks a lot to the diversity of the Republican Party and the strength of our
2
party.
with no government experience.
Well, again, it's the country. People are angry, and they should be at Washington, D.C. I've only been there 4.5 years, but I have shared in that frustration, and it's one of the reasons why I chose to run for president.
Marco Rubio, thanks for coming in this morning.
George.